Are you the type of person that can't decide on what position they want their windshield in? Well, SuperATV has the solution with the Power Flip Windshield, and today we're going to be showing you how to get it installed on a Polaris Ranger XD 1500. What's up guys, welcome back to Grease the Wheels. I'm Braden Adams, this is my shop, and today we're going to be showing you how to install SuperATV's Power Flip Windshield on this Polaris Ranger XD 1500. Here's the tools, so let's get right to it. So now we're going to grab our hinge as well as our M8 by 25 millimeter hardware. We'll need 3 per side, and then our M8 nylock nuts. So what you're gonna do with the windshield facing up like this, so this is gonna be the inside of the windshield, we're gonna take the hinge and we're gonna install it to the front, so the outside of the windshield, to where the hardware will come straight up from the front to the inside bracket. Just put the hardware through, start the nut. We'll do this for all 3. Once they're installed, we can go ahead and fully tighten down the hardware because this hinge actually articulates in multiple different angles. So it's not gonna matter if we fully tighten it or not, we'll be able to get it adjusted around where we need it in order to get it installed to the machine. So we have this side, we're gonna just do the same thing on the opposite side of the windshield. So the next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and remove the protective film. You wanna confirm that this windshield fits your machine before you've done this. We've already done it, so we're gonna go ahead and peel it. Now that the protective film is removed, we're gonna grab our seal. So this seal here has an adhesive strip on the inside of it. So before you install it to the windshield, what you're gonna do is pull this adhesive back. I'm just gonna start with a small section here to get it attached to the windshield, and then as we go around, we'll continue peeling the adhesive off and installing it. So what we wanna do is start right in the center of the lower portion of the windshield. So we're just gonna start right here, and we're gonna make sure that the seal portion is facing down or to the inside of the machine. So we'll get it lined up right here, right in the center, and we're just gonna go all the way around. As you're doing that, just kind of push up on it to ensure that the adhesive is fully seating to the poly. So then once you get to this point right here, where the seal is gonna seam up, what you wanna do is make a very nice clean cut so it looks like a seamless transition. I have a brand new blade here in my razor knife. I'm just gonna go ahead and make that cut with the blade. Then we're gonna go back through and just push on the adhesive to ensure that it's made contact and it is fully adhered to the windshield. And we're gonna do this all the way around, just like so. So now moving on to the machine, we're gonna come to the inside and we're gonna remove the headliner. This is gonna be held in with push pins. I'm just gonna use a push pin removal tool. I'm gonna grab each one of them. Whenever you pull these, just kind of rock it back and forth, twist it around, and it'll pull out. We're gonna do that for all of the push pins holding the headliner. Once all the push pins are removed, just take the headliner. You can sit it outside the machine or in the back if you have a 4-seater. Once you have the headliner removed, go ahead and remove the T20 screws from each side. There'll be 2 per side, right up here in the corner of the factory frame, just like so. Then just go ahead and grab these covers and remove them from both sides. So this next step has already been completed on our machine because we previously had a power flip. What you're gonna wanna do is take your flat seal and run it all the way across this top lip. You wanna make sure that it's flush with the factory framing of the cage here. So you'll just apply it all the way across. You'll have to lift the roof up a little bit to get it up underneath there. Once it's all the way across, just trim off any excess that you may have. So now what you're gonna do is come to the bottom of the center of the console here. There's gonna be 2 push pins. Just go ahead and pop those out. Just for ease of install and showing you all how to do this, I went ahead and pulled the centers out of these with my push pin removal tool. So just pull the centers out of them, then remove them. Then what you're gonna do is grab the console here, pick up on it a little bit. And then as you pick up, push down on the center. That's gonna remove these 2 tabs. And then we can just kind of let this hang like so. And then we're gonna be back up on top of the dash to remove the center trim panel as well as the cluster. All right, so now we're gonna come right here to the top of the dash and we're gonna remove these rubber trays. They just pop right out. Just grab them on the corner and pick straight up on them. There's gonna be T40s underneath here that we're gonna have to remove. So you're gonna have 2 per side. Just take a T40, remove them. And then you can grab the center trim, just pick up on it, just work it all the way up. Now we're going to be removing the cluster pod from the cluster. This is just secured by clips, but what you're going to need to do is take something to pry up underneath the lip of the pod, and then once you get it pried up, just grab a hold of it and just firmly pull straight out. It is a little difficult to get it removed. It may feel like you're going to break it, but you're not going to. Again, you just want to make sure that you're pulling straight out and just kind of wiggle as you do it. That way you don't damage any of the clips. Once that's removed, we're gonna go ahead and remove the hardware securing the cluster in. Just gonna be a couple push pins. We'll just remove the push pins and then remove the cluster. Once the push pins are removed, you can just grab the cluster and slide it up out of the way. We just need to be able to gain access to inside the dash in order to feed wires. Now we're just gonna remove these 2 push pins here and the factory screw located up front there, and remove the A-pillar. The A-pillar also has clips on it, so you just want to make sure that you pull on it and get the clips to pop out. Maybe a little difficult to do, but you just have to work it side to side, and then it'll pop. We're just going to repeat the same steps for the opposite side. Now we're just going to go ahead and remove the hood. So now what we're going to do is we're going to route the actuator harness through the dash and all the way over to the A-pillar. So you're gonna have a left and a right lead. You're just gonna route these through the dash. I took out this little cover here. It's easy, it just pops right out of the way. This is gonna kind of help me feed the wire all the way over to this side of the dash. I'm gonna go in between and behind all of the locations where the panels are gonna go. That way I don't smash the wires whenever I go to reinstall any panels. I'm just gonna take this, feed it through. I'm gonna pull some slack up through this. And then when I pull slack, what that's gonna do is it's just gonna help me guide this wire all the way over to where it needs to be. So I was struggling a little bit, so I grabbed a little piece of wire. All I'm gonna do is just feed this wire all the way over here to this hole. Just pull it through here. And I'm just gonna slide it in between the 2 wires here and just fold it over. We don't have to pull it that far. It should just come right through for us pretty easily now. Just grab it. We're gonna fish this connection all the way over here, just like that. And then for the opposite side, we're gonna do the same thing, except on this side over here, we have a little bit more room to get our hands in. So we're just gonna feed it right across the back. And then it's gonna drop into the area where our cluster was. Lead and feed it all the way over, just like so. So now we're going to grab our power leads, so we'll have a hot in the ground. We're going to feed this through the dash and then through the grommet. I'm just going to pull enough out of there to where we can wire into it and get it connected to our pulse bar. Then the last connection that needs to be made in here is we need to go to our rocker switch panel. So now we're just gonna pop out one of these small rocker switch tabs. Just pop that out of the way and take our harness, slide it through the dash just like so. Grab a rocker switch and just wiggle these together. It's all wiggled through. You're just going to take your rocker switch and place it into the hole in the dash. So it should look something just like so. I'm going to pull this trim panel and everything back down. That way I can tidy up all the wires and adjust the links as needed, because obviously we're gonna have to pull some wiring back in for our actuator connection as well as our power connection up front. So now we're gonna grab our power connection that we sent out to the front. We're gonna go ahead and cut the eyelets off. I'm just gonna use a pair of side cuts here. Just peel the eyelets off the hot as well as the ground. Strip the wire back. And then on our pulse plug adapter, we're gonna be looking for the orange and the brown. The orange is gonna be our keyed on source wire. And the brown will be our ground. So we'll just take a couple connectors, a pair of crimps, and then we're gonna go black to brown and red to orange. Make sure you don't forget that. And anytime I make an electrical connection, what I like to do is pull on the connector a little bit. After it's connected, I just want to make sure that it's fully seated. You know, sometimes you can not catch the wire fully, and you know, you have an intermittent connection. Obviously, that's just going to cause issues down the road that you're not going to want to deal with. So always just make sure your connections are good and tight. What I'm going to start doing is just feeding my excess wire back through the grommet. I'm also going to put the fuse in there just for a cleanliness look. You know, if you ever were to have an issue with the fuse, you'll know that it's in the dash and you'll just have to reach in there and pull it out. It's no big deal. If you also just stick it slightly inside the grommet there, you'll be able to grab the wiring and just kind of pull out what you need if you were to ever need it. It's not a common thing for the fuses to blow, but for whatever reason, if it did, you know, it's not far away. Then we'll come here on our pulse bar and we'll remove one of the dummy plugs off of the pulse bar and then just plug in our pulse connection that came with the kit. So the wiring connection has been made to the machine. It will now have power. Now what we're gonna do is move on to the steps of actually installing the clamps and then the windshield. Now we're gonna grab our clamp. In order to install this clamp, you are gonna have to remove the handle. It's two 13mm bolts, very easy. Just gonna wanna slide this clamp up almost to the bottom of this threaded insert, and then you're just gonna go ahead and snug the hardware up by hand. Once we get it started where we need it, we're gonna grab our brackets for our actuator. We'll go ahead and get those installed to the threaded holes here on the clamp. Now we're gonna take the actuator mount and attach it to the clamp. We're gonna use the short Allen-headed M8 hardware to do so. Then just repeat the same steps on the opposite side. Now we're gonna install the windshield to the machine. You wanna make sure that you add the little foam piece on the back side of the hinge brackets. It just has a piece of 3M on the backside adhesive. It goes on very easily. Then you're gonna take it and line the hinges up with the notches in the roof. Once everything is lined up, we're gonna go through the bottom side with our M6 hex head bolt. It's gonna be an M6x16, and thread through the factory frame of the cage into the hinge. So that's what we're gonna do now. Now we're going to install our actuators to our upper actuator mount. You're going to want to take the bushings provided in the kit, pop them in, and then you're going to grab the shoulder bolt provided in the kit and install the actuator to the bracket. And once we have our hardware started, we can go ahead and make our connection. We're just going to plug in the wiring harness that comes off of the actuator to the harness that we previously ran through the dash. So we'll just plug that in and leave it hang for the time being. Then we're going to go to the opposite side and repeat the same steps. Now we're going to install the bushings to the bottom side of the actuator and attach the actuator to the bracket on the windshield. You may have to actuate the actuator in order to get it to line up correctly. So all we did there is, since we have our connections made, I just actuated it out until it lines up on the windshield. Pop our hardware through. Once we have our hardware started, we'll just go to the opposite side, and then we're going to fully tighten the hardware that is securing the hinge bracket to the cage, and then also fully tighten our clamps that are attached to the cage for our actuator bracket. Now we're going to take the wire covering here. It has a piece of two-sided tape on the back side. We're going to lay it on the inside of the cage here, just enough to where our wiring is gonna lay nice and clean. If you need to know exactly what measurement you need for your machine, what I recommend you do, grab your A-pillar, separate it apart, open your windshield all the way up, reinstall this enough just to see the distance of where everything needs to lay out at. So it'll be something like so. And then just take a piece of this, lay it up here, kind of eyeball exactly what you're needing. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Then whenever you have exactly what you need for your machine, you'll just take and you'll cut a section of this. Once you have it cut, go ahead and peel the backing. Slide your wire in. Stick it on your cage. And then just do the exact same thing for the opposite side. So the last things that you're gonna do is go through, tidy up any wiring, reinstall any panels that you may have removed, the headliner, make sure all the hardware is fully tightened, and that's all there is to it to install SuperATV's Power Flip Windshield on this Polaris Ranger XD 1500. Be sure to check the description below to pick yours up today, and while you're there, drop a like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.